Word on the street is that a wave of arrests and leaked footage has shaken up hip-hop, and at the center of it all is 50 Cent. New clips tied to his documentary about Sean Diddy Combs have gone viral, and the reaction has been explosive. The footage reportedly shows moments that could damage careers, and 50 hasn't exactly been subtle about it. He's mocked the fallout publicly, posted about the arrests, and made it clear that he wants the whole industry watching to understand why this has become such a massive story. You have to go back to the release of Sean Combs. The Reckoning, the 4-part Netflix docuseries executive produced by 50 Cent and directed by Alexandria Stapleton. The project was marketed as an investigative look into the allegations, controversies, and power structure surrounding Diddy and the Bad Boy Empire. It was not some small online expo site. It was a major streaming release, and Netflix framed it as a shocking and revealing deep dive into Diddy's life and career. The series covered a lot of ground. It revisited the East Coast-West Coast tensions of the 1990s, touched on the murders of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious Big, and explored Diddy's business rivalries, celebrity relationships, and influence in the music industry. But what really caught the public's attention was the inclusion of never-before-seen footage filmed in the days before Diddy's arrest, along with journal entries linked to Bad Boy co-founder Kirk Burrow. That footage quickly became one of the most controversial parts of the entire documentary. According to reports, it came from a videographer Diddy had originally hired to document his life for a personal project. After Diddy's arrest, that material allegedly made its way out through a freelancer, while lead documentarian Michael Oberles was away. Oberles later said the footage was not leaked over money, but through betrayal, claiming someone passed it along unethically. And once people saw what was in those clips, the controversy got even bigger. One of the most talked about moments reportedly shows a visibly agitated Diddy speaking to his lawyer and telling his team to find someone experienced in what he called the dirtiest of dirty business to push back against the claims surrounding him. Naturally, people wanted to know how 50 Cent got access to all of this. But when he was asked directly, he kept things vague. In interviews, both 50 and Stapleton refused to reveal their sources, only insisting that the footage was obtained legally and that they had the rights to use it. The documentary also included smaller personal moments that ended up saying a lot. One clip that caught major attention showed Diddy greeting fans in Harlem, smiling for pictures, then returning to his car and allegedly saying he felt dirty and needed hand sanitizer in a bath. 50 Cent later pointed to that moment as an example of Diddy's character, using it to argue that the project was about showing people who he believed Diddy really was behind the scenes. 50 framed his involvement as something bigger than personal beef. In interviews, he said that if he stayed silent, people might interpret that as hip-hop being okay with the behavior being alleged. According to him, he felt a responsibility to speak up, especially for people who couldn't speak for themselves. He argued that if nobody challenged this publicly, the entire culture could be painted in a false light, and the public clearly paid attention. The documentary reportedly pulled huge numbers and became one of Netflix's most talked. About releases, 50 himself admitted he expected success, but not on that level. The impact was immediate. He was no longer just a guy trolling celebrities online. He had now shown that he could take real-life scandals, package them for a global audience, and dominate the conversation. Diddy's camp, however, was not about to let that go unanswered. His team came out hard against the documentary, calling it unfair, illegal, and deeply personal. They accused Netflix of using stolen footage that had never been authorized for release, and argued that it was outrageous to give a longtime rival like 50 Cent influence over a project centered on Diddy's life. They also reportedly sent Netflix a cease and desist before the series dropped. Netflix pushed back on those claims and denied that the documentary was a vendetta piece. The platform stated that the footage had been legally obtained and emphasized that 50 Cent was an executive producer, not the person with full creative control. That detail mattered because one of Diddy's main arguments was that the series had been shaped by personal bias. Netflix's response was clear. This was not revenge, and no one had been paid to participate. As if the situation wasn't already strange enough, 50 later posted that he had received flowers allegedly sent by Diddy after the documentary's release. Diddy's team denied having anything to do with it and suggested it may have been a prank, but by that point, the internet was already fully invested in the drama. At the same time, Diddy's legal troubles continued to intensify. Public attention around the allegations surged after the documentary came out, and the broader case against him remained a major topic. Reports tied the project to ongoing public discussions about charges, testimony, and the wider scandal surrounding his downfall. The more the story developed, the more 50 kept commenting, posting, and adding fuel to the fire. There was also backlash aimed at 50 himself. A former sex worker featured in the documentary reportedly filed a lawsuit against both 50 Cent and Netflix, alleging that their account had been edited and distorted in a misleading way. So even while 50 celebrated the project's success, legal pressure and controversy were building around him too. Still, none of it seemed to slow him down. And to really understand why 50 went this hard, you have to understand that this was never just about a documentary. This feud with Diddy goes back over 2 decades. They were once in the same circles and even did business together. But things turned ugly years ago. One of the biggest turning points came in 2006, when 50 released the diss track, The Bomb, and suggested that Diddy knew more than he was saying about the murder of Biggie. That accusation crossed a line that could never really be uncrossed. Over the years, the tension between them kept resurfacing. Sometimes it looked playful, sometimes outright hostile. 50 mocked Diddy in interviews, took shots at his music, and repeatedly turned personal interactions into public jabs. Diddy, on the other hand, often brushed it off in public and acted like 50's obsession was more admiration than hate. But once Diddy's legal troubles became public, 50 escalated from trolling to full-scale media warfare. And not everybody supported what he was doing. Ja Rule, one of 50's oldest enemies, jumped back into the picture and blasted him over the documentary. He accused 50 of being toxic to the culture and suggested that he had no moral high ground. But that only added another layer to the spectacle, because Ja Rule and 50 have been at war for decades too. So when Ja Rule defended Diddy and attacked 50, it felt less like a fresh opinion and more like another chapter in one of hip-hop's oldest rivalries. Diddy's sons also entered the conversation, announcing their own docuseries about how their family had been affected by the federal case and conviction. At the same time, King Combs had already released music defending his father and taking shots at critics like 50. None of this stopped 50 from continuing to troll. In fact, he expanded it into commercials, social posts, and public commentary that made it clear he had turned the whole saga into content. And just when it seemed like the reckoning had already done enough damage, 50 appeared to tease another possible documentary, this time aimed at T.I. and Tiny. In March 2026, he posted and later deleted a screenshot referencing a project tentatively titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny. The title alone was enough to set social media on fire, because it echoed Surviving R. Kelly, and instantly suggested another career, threatening exposi. The beef between 50 and T.I. is old too, but this felt like a new level. 50 suggested that T.I. should prepare for questions about sexual assault allegations, and many people saw it as a warning shot more than a confirmed production announcement. That's what makes 50 so dangerous in this space. Sometimes the threat is almost as powerful as the documentary itself. That seems to be the pattern now. 50 used The Reckoning as proof that he can move beyond music beef and reshape public narratives through film and streaming platforms. He showed the industry that if he focuses on you, the fallout might not stay on Instagram. It can end up on a global platform in millions of homes and in a conversation that refuses to die. Whether or not every tease project ever gets made is almost beside the point. The message has already landed. In today's media culture, exposure is power, and 50 Cent knows exactly how to use it. He has survived shootings, industry changes, business battles, and endless rap feuds. Through all of that, one thing has stayed the same: he does not let things go. And if this story has proven anything, it's that 50 Cent is no longer just a troll, a rapper, or a businessman. He has become something else entirely. Someone who can turn beef into a documentary, controversy into content, and rivalry into a public reckoning. The only question now is, who's next?